We're back with JJ again, and now we're moving on to cases and accessories. So tell us all about the Z11 Gaming Case.
Yeah, so this is another kind of new offering for us. It's not something that historically Asus and ROG is known for because it's part really of the new product portfolio that we've been expanding upon. So I think late 2018 and definitely 2019, you saw a lot of new product categories from Asus and ROG. And really that was born from a really passionate base saying that we'd love to see you guys offer options so that we can have kind of like a holistic experience, right? From top to bottom, if I want everything from the cooler to, of course, the chassis, to the graphics card, motherboard, right? All those types of solutions. But the challenge always when you put the RG branding on something is trying to make it distinctive and different. And so I think definitely what our team was looking for is to be able to add kind of the flair and the distinction that you see inherently in something like our motherboards, our graphics cards, that when you see them, you know exactly that's an RG product, and also still be able to impart that to a chassis, but also without going crazy, right? And so the Z11 is really interesting in that you have some interesting angles that are in play, but the angles are about form meeting function. Now with a mini DTX chassis like this, it's about a compromise, right? Because in reality, if you're really trying to just have out the best thermal performance and the simplest type of thing to build in, you would just build an ATX system, right? The people that build an ITX or mini DTX system, it's because you want something distinctive and different. And that's kind of the first hallmark that you see with this. First off, right off the bat, you see a vertically displayed graphics card, which just makes the system look different, right? I think it looks really cool. The other cool part to it though is because of the way that we've oriented the actual motherboard, it's at an angle that actually allows you to have no type of ribbon cable. So historically for any type of vertical mount, you have to have a ribbon cable, which does introduce a little bit of latency. Here, no concerns. You're going to get the best performance possible from that GPU.
I really like the glass display on the front now. You can just see your GPU, and usually that is a big accent of your rig, so this looks beautiful.
Yeah, and especially with our card, like we've built it in mind. We know our card, and sometimes it's challenging to be able to see the Rgb illumination that we have on our card because all of our 6 series cards have 3 levels of Rgb illumination on the front, on the side, and on the back. And here, actually, you also see that. But if we maintain kind of the focus here on the front, you've got this nice illuminated logo. Now, of course, you have RGB control throughout the chassis. You have an integrated OLED display, which of course became popular on many of our different types of products like our motherboards, our coolers, power supplies.
Yeah, I'm happy to see this because we were seeing this on your cases last year as well. I'm happy to see it's coming into 2020 as well.
Yeah, huge amount of connectivity, actually a lot more than you see even on some chassis. And this is, of course, a compact volume chassis. So you got, of course, a total of 4 USB-A ports, and then you also have the Type-C based connection. So you can really have everything without having to worry about going to the rear of your system in terms of your connection. Of course, you've got removable filter right here, so you can go ahead and clean that out, and it also allows for a bit of airflow, and then additional side airflow right here. You move to the top of the chassis. Top is going to have 240 millimeter fans that are pre-installed in there for you. You could also go and hit and fit a rad, so if you want to have a water cooling type setup, you're good to go, but it wouldn't accommodate something like a 280 AIO because you got a little bit of that bump, right, that you have to account for in terms of the way those are situated. In the rear here, if we take a look at in the back, you've got your 240 millimeter AIO support. That could also be swapped for optional SSD mounting support. So if let's say you want to use a traditional like tower heatsink, low profile, or maybe do like a 120, you could still fit a 2.5 inch drive right here. You could fit another 2.5 right here, especially those RGB SSDs. This is a perfect place to put one of those. And you can see we also have a cover to hide all those cables for routing points. It's perfectly situated right there. Nice RGB illumination right here. You've got another fan down here mounted at the bottom, and that also comes included with the chassis. So a total of 3 come included with the chassis.
I see there's also an LED control in the front. Is this an RGB LED control, or is there a controller built into this that works with sync? Or
yeah, 100%. So we do actually have full Asus Aura support in RGB control. Rick, sorry. Rick, do you think we can get the back? He'll sit there for a second. We'll pick up from there. Okay, and so okay, and so it does have full actually RGB control. It's of course fully certified for Asus Aura. So any one of those components you install, if you go ahead and connect everything and utilize the actual integrated controller and connectivity, you can go ahead and press that button and have everything be controlled very simply. Or of course you can jump into the Armory Crate software now and make independent control of all those different items you have available to you. If we take a little bit of a tour over into the back right here, I think right there, does that work for you guys? Yeah. Okay. You'll see a couple of really cool hallmarks. One is you're going to see that the actual motherboard's at that 11-degree angle. So that's that form meeting function, right? Is that we're allowing actually for more airflow, which is important for compact motherboards because these areas can get what's called heat pooling, because you have actually a lot of MOSFETs, or you have a lot of power stage circuitry there, and especially with high performance Ryzen-based processors, Intel-based processors, there can be heat there. So we do want a little bit of space to have a little bit of airflow, and so to help to maximize performance. But you can also see it's very easy to work with and route all your cables in there, even though you're dealing with a more compact chassis. A lot of times that can be a pain point in these systems. You've got the full integrated controller right here, so for tons of fans. Of course, they're for RGB.
Oh, it's addressable RGB as well.
Yep.
It's very nice.
And then you also have the USB hub. So that's nice because a lot of times you might only have like one USB port, internal USB 2 on the small form factor motherboard. So we take it away, but we give you two back, right?
Very nice.
And then of course you can still fit traditional size ATX-based power supply, so you don't have to use something like an SFX-based power supply for this.
Is the case coming with a power supply, or is it
No.
going to be sold separate?
Yeah, it's sold separately, so that allows you to go ahead and take advantage of a strict series power supply, or if you want to throw in a C-Sonic, go ahead, right?
Good to hear, good to hear.
And then from there, you do have different routing points for your cables. You can either go out through here, or you can go out through here, depending on the orientation, because that's the other kind of cool hallmark. Rick, maybe we can go ahead and show it in another orientation right here. And that's one of the other really cool parts, I think, about the Z11 is that it allows you to go not only from a vertical orientation, but a horizontal orientation. So if we go ahead and flip back over to the other side again, we're going to see that it's got an entirely different vibe.
Well, the main thing is be sure you get the good take. There's
So now you can see in the horizontal orientation, it's got an entirely different look. So it's like having two different systems in one, and it also changes up the airflow dynamic, right? And you can also see how we've accounted for the airflow, where again, now you have that fan right here that you previously didn't see that was at the bottom, and then of course out here through the back, right? Now again, like I said, maximum best airflow experience possible would be within an ATX type of environment, but the goal here is to hit that balance of offering you something distinctive while still offering you performance that feel confident, that it can be reliable, but also something that's going to look different and feel not like the traditional options that are available in the marketplace. And I think it's a really great option to expand upon what RG is offering for 2020.
It does look absolutely stunning. Are we expecting a 2020 release on this?
100%, yeah. This actually should be available by the end of Q1. In terms of the protected price point, it is going to be a little bit on the pricier side because this is an RG-based product, but actually I think it's pretty reasonable considering you get the controller, all the integrated shrouds. This is 1.2 millimeter aluminum, so it's quite nice in terms of the internal build quality, the tempered glass, the connectivity. So $250 will be the projected price point for
very
this.
reasonable.
And then with the OLED-based display, $299. So all the way around, I think that for somebody making the investment in high-end hardware already with a high-end mini ITX board, high-end GPU, also account for that there's one big challenge that not a lot of people talk about. When you went over to non-reference 2000 series GPUs, they all went up to about 2.5 to 2.7 inch slot.
Yes.
There's almost no mini ITX chassis on the market that can accommodate a non-reference card. We manufacture something like our turbo cards, which are 2 slots, but if you don't want to go with one of those standard cards, which they're a little bit hotter, lower clock speeds, have no lighting, exactly all those scenarios, this is one of the few options that legitimately lets you put in a full high-performance non-reference card in there as well. So I think that the price point is pretty reasonable, but I'd love to see your guys' feedback on the design and other aspects because this is just where we're starting. We have some other great ideas for ROG product portfolio in terms of chassis design.
Thank you so much. The angled motherboard does look absolutely stunning. I do like how they laid it out. It does have great airflow, and really the fact that you can see your GPU, which is usually one of the most expensive parts of your system.
For sure.
And the most stunning, and usually it says something about how your rig is and everything else, and it's great that it is basically the center point.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you.